Okay, so for those who are new to joining our Advocacy and Action webinars, I'm Ashley White. I'm the current Director of Health Policy and Strategic Alliances at the American Orthotic and Prosthetic Association. And this is my last Advocacy and Action webinar. I am really excited about the team that I'm leaving this in their hands. They're going to be fantastic, and they're going to continue doing these webinars. But my last day at AOPA is August 3rd. I am headed to law school at NYU for a health law and policy program. I'm really excited about it. So thank you. But we want to take this opportunity with recess coming up to position you all to get the most out of this time when your legislators are going to be in district, when they'll be at home, and you can capitalize on their attention a little more easily than you can when you come to the Hill, because it's just a different world up here. And when they're at home, they tend to be excited and interesting and coming to things like Aaron will tell you, things like the activities that Wiggle Your Toes has put on, the events that they've put on in the past. They've been tremendously successful at getting members of Congress to show up for those. So this is just the beginning. And also, I want to say, it's not the only opportunity. Just because recess is coming up should not limit you to when you ask your legislators to come visit your offices or be involved in activities that you're supporting out in the community for people living with limb loss and limb difference and limb impairment. So don't think that we're saying this only happens during August. We're just saying August is a great time to grab a hold of a little bit of their attention. Anyone want to share, just at the top of the call, some really good experiences that you all have had with members of Congress and or state legislators coming to events that you've had or coming to your office? I think your experiences are the most relevant here. So I'd love for folks to share that are on the call. Oh, look, I'm
all right.
I'll
start. I'll bite. Okay, so Minnesota has had lots of activity in DC and in here at home in Minnesota, mostly centered around our work with Wiggle Your Toes. Aaron I'm sure we could talk for an hour about some of the events, right? The one that sticks out to me, which I loved, was we had Congressman Eric Paulson join us in, we had a wakeboard event out at one of our large wakes. And Congressman Paulson happened to be marching in the parade that went by the street where our event was. And he took his exit out of the parade to come see us. And we took photos with him at our Wiggle Your Toes tent at the event. And behind us was the big lake. And it was amazing. It was a great day. And it was a lot of fun. And all we did was ask. We said, do you have some time? Are you going to be in the area? And he said, well, not only am I in the area, I'm actually marching in the parade that day. So he came by and he said hello to us. And of course, we took pictures and then we posted them on social media, and that was fantastic. So that's just one that really sticks out to me that is out of the ordinary. So, and again, Aaron, you can expand on it or another one, but it's really nice to just ask. We had Senator Amy Klobuchar also come to a Wiggle event. Aaron, maybe if you remember that one, we've got some great pictures of that one too.
Yeah, we've done a great job in Minnesota, and just heads up, I want to try to expand that, wearing my hat with AOPA, because, I think we need to get more involved with Austin, Texas, with Hanger being there, with AOPA being there. Salt Lake City, we've got good presence with AOPA and other manufacturers there. Louisville, Kentucky. I mean, there's some key markets. And then obviously with the expansion with clinics and things like that, if there are any target legislators or districts that stand out, we can see if there's a facility and just be proactive in those markets as well. So
that's great. That's great. Well, we will be publishing a target list. And that'll go along with the draft letter of invitation. We will have those out at the beginning of next week. Well, I'm going to wait till Sam gets back because he's going to be helping coordinate it, and he is on vacation, and I do not want him getting a flood of emails until he is not on vacation. And so I am respecting his time. So as soon as he's back, we will send out those emails, and then you'll be able to connect directly with him to get additional support. I'm actually going to show you what that additional support looks like, because I want you to know how easy we're going to try to make this for you all. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. And to Aaron's point, he's talking about how broad we can make this. This is, oh no, Zoom updated again. I got to do the thing where I go in and allow it to share my screen. I'm sorry, y'all. This is like the third time this has happened today. Joy couldn't hear. I mean, I couldn't hear Joy earlier. I'm going to share my screen though in a second. It's updating. So when I can share my screen, what I will be showing you is that we can go in and look at every member of Congress's staff and their district staff. So we have access to a database that has every email for all the district staffers. So not only are we going to be able to provide a draft letter for you to do this, to make this invitations outreach. I mean, you're going to, refine it and make it your own. We can provide you the contacts of the district scheduler. So the person who's most likely to know when that member of Congress can come to your facility during recess. This is also just a good person to know to connect with, so that you can offer them to come in when you have like an open house, or if you're doing a patient-centered event and you want to invite them at any point in time. Connecting with their district office is the way to go. And we have all of those contacts in the Capital Canary software. So if you've ever attended one of these calls, we have shared in the past how our Capital Canary software works and what we have access to, and we have their full district staffs databased in our system. So as this continues to update, I'll back up and showcase kind of all the ways that we can utilize that software to support you in this effort. Are there folks on the call that have had success working with district offices in the past? Or have you mostly reached out through the main congressional office? Just curious. Okay, well, we know that we have a few AOPA members who recently secured support co-sponsorship for the Medicare O&P Patient-Centered Care Act by working through their district offices. So this was post policy forum. This member didn't even attend the policy forum. They weren't able to travel that week. And so they were like, we really want to help out. How can we get involved? So we shared all of the communications and the post policy forum follow-up and all the steps that we were asking people to take after the policy forum. And he basically just took it upon himself to do all the things that we were asking people to do post policy forum. And he called the district office and they scheduled a meeting, and the next thing we knew, we had co-sponsorship. So, I mean, it's just tremendous the way that you can connect on the ground in some of these district offices when we're not seeing that same access to members of Congress on the Hill right now. I had dinner with Congressman Carter last night, Buddy Carter of Georgia. And they were so funny. There was a lot of conversation about recess and when it's actually going to happen. And I needed to know for this webinar. So I just asked, I said, so when do you think you actually get to go into recess? And he's really funny. He said, I don't know, I think they're going to let us go home next Friday, but the Senate's saying they're probably going to keep us around. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? And he said, well, I mean, they're saying something about the second week in August and we got to vote on something. And it really is, we have no idea. Like he has no idea when he's going to have to show up for work right now. So it's what recess will look like is not defined. I cannot give you those dates today. What I will say is the congressional calendar has the House out on next Friday. And the Senate calendar has them going through the Thursday of the following week. So through August 4th right now. Those are the two congressional calendars right now. So you can expect that if things go as scheduled, Senate will come home the first week of August. The House members will come home at the end of next week. But, as he said, he's not really sure that that's going to happen. So we will make sure that we're updating you about that also. But the district offices will know. And since we're going to advise you to schedule through those district offices, I think we'll be okay in terms of making sure that they know how to help you. What you don't want is for them to say, well, we're really not sure when they're going to go on recess or if they're going to have to go back to Washington. Don't take that answer as a no. Like, just keep pushing. Just keep saying, well, we really want to catch him when he's home. And we'll help you with language around that as well. It doesn't look like it's going to let me share my screen, guys, but I'm so sorry. I might have to hop out to actually be able to do that. That's a bummer. Okay, I want to move on unless there are questions about outreach or contacting district offices or anything like that. I do want to move on and talk a little bit more about that target list and how we want to utilize these opportunities to build champions for next year. So we're not saying that we're not focused on growing co-sponsorship for the current piece of legislation, but we know what our vehicle is likely going to be for that. We have some maneuvering we're going to need to do. The more co-sponsors, the better. But what we really want to be doing now is positioning ourselves for a possible change in leadership and what that needs to look like for building champions next year. And I think people might say, well, it's only August, Ashley, you're already looking to 2023. Well, the reason is because now is the time when they're starting to hire staff. They're starting to get people on board. There's going to be a lot of transition in Washington if that happens. And we just want to make sure that AOPA is ready to rise to that occasion and have those relationships out the gate right at the beginning of the congressional year. So if you guys, and it doesn't hurt to build relationships, right? Every AOPA member should be inviting their members of Congress into their offices, period. So it does not hurt to build these relationships. But what that will look like is people that are going to be placed on our committees of jurisdiction are going to be our highest target lists, particularly new members. So people who are currently in Congress, but not serving in those committees of jurisdiction. So this takes a little political behind the scenes work, which I was doing, which is part of the reason I was at dinner last night. Buddy Carter sits on Energy and Commerce. And one of the things that he has taken very seriously is his role working in a bipartisan fashion on that committee. So Congressman Carter and G.K. Butterfield, who is the congressman who's our champion, are really good friends, and they work really well together. So Congressman Butterfield said, hey, reach out to Buddy, see what he thinks that you all should do in terms of who's coming on for the next, who might come on if leadership changes. So what you'll see is an influx of Republicans on the committee and an exodus of Democrats on the committee. That's how the committee structures work. So we just need to make sure that those members of Congress aren't completely unknown to us. We need to start at least some basic outreach to some of those members. What better outreach than to get them when they're home in their districts? So we're doing our homework right now to make sure we know who those people are. I have a few of those listed that I can share with you all in their districts. And again, so much of this is speculation, right? Because it will be leadership ultimately that determines who comes in and serves on these committees. But people like to put their name in the hat. And we're definitely we're getting some of that insider knowledge, and our team at Austin and Byrd is very good at this work. They are incredible political creatures, and they go in and they get what they need from the folks that know these answers. So our target list will look a little different. You're like, well, that person's not on Energy and Commerce, but they might be. They might be, and that's why they'll be on there. So I'm just flagging that for you all now, in case you see names you've never seen before, that you'll know that those names are there because we know that they might try to get a position on a committee of jurisdiction. Questions about the target list? No. Oh, Aaron, it looks like you have something to say.
You said were you with John Carter? Is that who you're talking about?
Buddy Carter of Georgia.
Sorry, he's a Texas guy.
No, Buddy Carter of Georgia. He is around the Savannah area. He represents the Savannah area, but he serves on Energy and Commerce.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
But fun fact, we're talking about in-district events. I actually got to know his chief of staff really, really well because his name is Chris Carter. Chris Champlin, he attended a John Cornyn event in Austin that I went to and took some folks from some of the Austin companies to an event when I was back a couple months ago, and we kind of hung out and ended up like talking about Buddy's politics and how close he was with Congressman Butterfield. And so that's really the type of relationships that you build with staff also can help give you insights on where you might want to focus some energy. And so Chris, the chief of staff in that office, has just been a tremendous supporter and has encouraged Congressman Carter to help us out with this legislation. If you get chief of staff buy-in, you usually have the congressman in your corner.
Got it. Cool.
And that event for Cornyn, it just kind of came out of nowhere, and we said, okay, we're going to jump on it. It's in Austin. There's no better way to showcase this opportunity. And so, we were working with Scott and then and the folks at Hanger and others in the area to try to figure out how do we showcase O&P while the senator's in town. And it was just really nice to be able to build that out. It was a multi-day event, so it was multiple touch points with the senator. Okay, no other questions about the target list? All right, so I want to talk a little bit. I know we've said we were going to keep these to 30 minutes, so I'm going to do my best. But I want to talk a little bit about what resourcing. We know what we have a list of the resources that we're going to provide when we launch this next week. But I'd love to know what about this doesn't feel comfortable, or are there things that AOPA can provide that would make this easier? So what we're going to give is a draft language for a letter to invite, so an invitation. So it's going to be very basic. We'll do an invitation and we'll keep it pretty open for how you want to do this. So if you're inviting them into a patient care facility, we'll say, here's where you talk about your patient care facility, or here's where you talk about your event if you're having a open house or something like that. And then we will share additional information about the mechanism to ask to get the information from us for your district offices. So what we don't want to do, we just don't have capacity to print out all the reports for every AOPA member, but we want to make it as seamless as possible for you to get the right contacts. So we'll have a link there where you can reach out to get that information, and then Sam will make sure that you get a report. So that'll be your target person and their staff email addresses, but particularly the district scheduler, because the district scheduler, this is like the 1 month of the year that they're the busiest. They're like, this is when they shine, right? This is when they build great opportunities for their members in district. It's a really good opportunity for them and for you to get to know the district office. And we haven't settled on whether or not for the offices that we already have really good relationships with, we may be asking you to copy in their chief of staff, because their chief of staff will know who we are. And so they can kind of push it to the front of the line. If there's lots of invitations that are going to go out, there probably will be. We want to put ourselves as high up on that list to get chosen as possible. Are there other, I don't know, resources or support that we could be providing to you all to make this easier? No. How about interest in expanding this to a broader effort with your state organizations? Here comes Dana.
Well, that was going to be my question, especially now that I will not be in a patient care facility after next week. I have actually talked to the current president of the state chapter of the academy, and there just doesn't seem to be a lot of widespread support for the political part of this. And so I think maybe like with Terry and with COPA, where it has been successful statewide, maybe given some contacts where we know that's been successful. So those of us who are trying to get something started in our states, can have contact people that we can talk to, bounce ideas off of, and know what to do and what not to do, to try to get some more of that state support with our facilities. Because that's where I'm running into the roadblock, is not getting the buy-in from the other practitioners to do the advocacy route.
Yeah.
You know, they want to go directly to Medicaid and say, give me more money. You know, they want that instant gratification type thing. And I need a way to bypass that. And I think getting the experience from those in states that are successful would be helpful.
Dana, that is a great ask. And it's absolutely what the state reps program is all about. It is about connecting those state representatives to people in other states. So I always hesitate to say this, but we do not limit our state reps group to members only. We limit some of the resources. So you cannot have access to the co-op if you're not an AOPA member, but a chapter president, as an example, will always be invited to that state rep table. It only harms us to not work collaboratively, right? So again, he might not have access to all of the resources that AOPA members have access to, but in terms of being able to have those conversations with other leaders in the states and on the ground, he can absolutely show up for that. So if you would like to, through maybe the membership, your membership committee role for AOPA, if you want to extend an invitation to Jim to attend the next state reps call, particularly because I won't be around, I'd love for you to do that, because I think that will help encourage him. And I'm not really sure who, or it might be, is it Shane or Jim now?
Jim currently. There actually is no president-elect for the state of North Carolina. So
Okay.
I guess when they have their next meeting, they'll determine who the next president is, which I actually looked at the how it's supposed to be done, and there is supposed to be a president-elect, but there is not one currently.
Okay.
So no one can tell me who the next person to work with is. I just know that transition will be coming too. So what I was hoping to do is do my homework
Yeah.
in the interim and have a plan of action for when that person comes on board. But I just need to know, like, what states have been the most successful working together. I know Minnesota and I know California. Are there others that we need to be looking at for examples?
There are some others, and Glenn is in the thick of it right now, organizing a brand new organization in Colorado. So kudos to Glenn for all of his hard work organizing that coalition in Colorado. I will say that Florida has a association and a board, and it tends to go through one person. Ori Gonzalez is the person who organizes the meeting every year. And their board, I think, we've seen Florida be more active at the federal level than at their own state, with their own state issues. But there are some really active people in Florida that you could reach out to just about how they've been able to gain traction for some of their issues. I'd be happy to connect you with some of those folks. And then New York kicked butt this year. They had a initiative to raise the Medicaid fee schedule. They did that. They had a initiative included in that initiative were to add some codes that were missing from the fee schedule. They also changed the top 20 codes to be the ones that were most important for the patient populations. And those are the ones that got the increase. And there's additional efforts there right now to put a floor on how much the contractors can negotiate in that state. So there's a lot of really good activity going on in the state of New York. And Matt Johnson and Ted Dragus, Florent, I can always forget Florent's last name, but there's a group of them in New York that I could put you in touch with for sure. I decided I'm going to say people's names now because people need credit for the work that they're doing. Like, it's just amazing when everybody comes together and they really put their energy towards something, you can get it done, and people should be credited for the energy that they're putting into these efforts. So happy to connect you to anybody, Dana, for sure. And don't hesitate, again, to invite somebody to that state reps meeting. If you feel like you've got a person that's looking like they might be the next president, they might be the right person to come to that. The next one will be at the Assembly in San Antonio.
If I can add that to this, Ashley, for Dana, it really just takes a handful of very dedicated people coming together to represent the community at large. We've been very fortunate in Minnesota to have Erin Holman Wiggle Your Toes. We've got the nonprofit amputee group as such a strength and a powerful force for us to move our legislative agendas. So we have, the consumer aspect, as well as just, again, we have a state association, and we've got a handful of very dedicated people, a really nice team. So if you can find some key people to represent and come together, you can really effectuate change, which has been really great in Minnesota for the past 10 years with us. So happy to help if you need any help.
Well, I'm showing 1:30, but I think we probably have a few more minutes if I can keep you for just a few more minutes. There's this opportunity that we have right now. I think things are kind of colliding at a really great moment. So there is a shift in with respect to the message about the health benefits and health economics around the work that you all are doing. I think there's more data that's coming in the future on this, but I'm hearing more people acknowledge the right to physical activity and the benefits to the health of the individual. That's going to be one of the strongest messages that we can continue to carry forward. More than not, because it plays well in Congress, and it plays well on both sides of the aisle. So I think that as you think about messaging the work that you do and how you impact people's lives, think about how you're benefiting those individuals when you're sharing the story of the professional work you do. I think we're really good at showcasing our patients and how they overcome adversity, and how they thrive in their prosthetic and orthotic devices. But I'm not sure that we always help them understand the link between that individual's motivation and ability to get it done, and how important it is that they have access to the healthcare that got them there. And that link, I think, is something that you can do better than anywhere else in your facility. When they see what it is, when they can see with their own eyes, how you engage with the patient, how you walk them through the parallel bars, that this isn't just about handing a device over a counter. When they can actually see how you provide care, it's like it clicks for them. It's a light bulb for them. And again, there's lots of news articles and lots of like visual support for successful individuals living with limb loss and limb difference. It's you can see it everywhere in commercials, on social media, but what we're not able to show just through those avenues right now is that moment of healthcare. And that's what you get to do when you have these meetings in your offices. You get to show the moment where you're providing the healthcare. So I would encourage you to think about this opportunity that way. Maybe not so much about the opportunity for a patient to showcase their physical ability. I think that's awesome, but don't sacrifice that moment to go in and kind of show them the nitty gritty of what it is that you actually do also, because I think that's so important. Okay. I think we've got one final announcement to make, like we do every month, but I want to make sure I answered everybody's questions before announcing the advocate of the month.
I have one. If we're not successful in actually getting them in a facility, how receptive are they to getting like a short video clip of like maybe talking to a practitioner and emailing it to their office.
I think that's a wonderful idea. I'm actually going to lean a little bit on Nicole and Joy for this one. I think from a comms perspective, we would certainly also amplify anything that you wanted to share. So, you could send that publicly and we would retweet that. I think you could also send it directly to those individuals that we're asking you to schedule the meeting with. But we can help connect you with the right staff. So when Butterfield signed on as our original for the bill, we actually, I went in with the support group, the Triangle Amputee support group in Duke, into the Duke outpatient office. And we had all of the patients that were part of that support group say thank you through a video to the congressman. And he's referenced that video multiple times, right? Like, so it does make a difference to show them who you are, to show them who the patients that you're caring for are. So I would highly encourage it. But I would lean on Nicole and Joy to determine like how we could use that also to help amplify it from AOPA.
And I think it'd be a great way to not only amplify it by sharing it, but also saying this is what AOPA members are doing along the front lines. Here's what, it's as easy as doing this. So I think we would do, it would be a twofer, right, Dana? Like helping you amplify what you all are doing and helping to help further thank the, and thank you for that. Thank them for the support because they'll get more notoriety, but also to show others what they can do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think what you said, Ashley, about being able to see the moment of healthcare, that happening, that's what's missing, honestly, from a lot of the media and stories that are out there. I mean, we see the, athletes with disabilities or, any person with limb difference, limb loss, using an orthosis or a prosthesis and what they're capable of doing, but we don't understand, what is the healthcare behind that. So I think if we have some video content of our members that is able to tell that story in a really succinct and powerful way, we'd absolutely love to share that. And I think the more targeted we can be with that information, defining who is the person that needs to see that on the other end, like you're saying, Dana, sharing that with those offices, I think there could be a powerful result because of that as well.
I actually added that to the list of suggestions for the meetings. So if you're not able to, if they're not able to come in, maybe you do a video for them. If they do come in, please get a video of them there. I think being able to share that with the world is going to be important. Okay, so now the moment everybody waits for, right? Joy, if I'm not mistaken, we did not give an award last month. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so we have the winner of last month's who's actually on this call today. So that's great. And then we have our July winner. So for June, we want to recognize Glenn for his amazing advocacy and efforts organizing the Colorado Coalition. Thank you so much for continuing to push us. Having a strong partner like you at this organization is exactly what we need to make sure that the ball keeps rolling forward, right? So thank you so much, Glenn, our advocate of the month for June.
Thank you. I really didn't do any of the heavy lifting. It's all AOPA was big support and basically just getting on my soapbox. We're getting some really good momentum. Things look really, really good. So I thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. And there's a few people whose cameras aren't on today, but what we do know is that advocacy happens in your own lives, even when you're not connected necessarily with AOPA. I think that there are some tremendous folks who, have done tremendous work in advocacy just generally since they started working in the space or have as individuals living with limb loss. And so we know that just because you weren't advocating through AOPA, that doesn't mean that you're not a strong advocate and worthy of of recognition. And so I want to highlight Denise today. And Denise, I don't know how many policy forums you've attended, but I know it's been many. And I am so excited to see you on the call today. And I'm so grateful for the advocacy work that you've done over the years, the many, many years. And so congratulations, Denise, our Advocate of the Month.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thanks, Ashley. I love working with you guys. You guys do such a great job advocating for the community, and making sure that we get the access to the care that we need, and just uplifting, practitioners as well as the patients. And so I've enjoyed every minute of working with you guys, and I'm going to miss you so much.
Oh, I'm going to miss you too. But guess what? We serve. So Denise and I serve on a task force together through another organization, which I will absolutely be staying involved in. So Denise, I look forward to continuing working with you in a different capacity.
Okay, great.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you all.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ashley.
Thanks,
Oh,
Ashley.
Thanks, Ashley.
Glenn-
Bye-bye.
Glenn, I'll post the video on the AOPA Federal Advocacy page, so we'll get that for you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.